Hey students, it is Mrs. Girot, and I just wanted to show you how you could photograph your sunset, and if like the colors weren't totally vibrant and you tried really hard to adjust your settings and your camera still just wouldn't give you that sunset effect that you desired, you can come into GIMP and still work on it. So I've uploaded one of our students, Matthew's pictures from Project 1, thank you, and I had the original layer that I named, and I right clicked on it, and you can't see it on this screen, but if you scroll up there's an option to duplicate layer, and so when I duplicated that layer, that made this second layer, which I named my work layer. So I'm in my work layer right now, and I have been using the fuzzy select tool or the magic wand tool, and what it does is whatever I click on, it's going to select all the pixels that are the same color as that pixel that I clicked on. And when I hold down the shift key, it will actually keep selecting more. It adds to the selection. So just go over to a spot that hasn't been added. You do have a threshold. So my threshold's pretty low. I'm going to increase my threshold so that when I click, I'm getting more bang for my buck, and it's going to select more at one time. So that's one way to use the fuzzy select tool when you are dealing with, whoops, if you make a mistake, just hit Control Z, when you are dealing with a specific color. Or you can just go back and use that free select tool. Shift, remember, is to add, so hopefully you had watched that. Oh, this image is bigger than my screen. You know what I need to do? I gotta go and view, zoom, fit the image to my window. There we go. Now I can see it all. So I'm going to just come down here, grab all of this. I'm holding down my shift key. So all of that is a part of my selection. Grab that little guy. And not sure that I really want those mountains and everything in there too. So I'm gonna hold down Control, and I'm just going to kind of get rid of that part of the selection. And all right, so that's probably pretty good. Doesn't have to be perfect. Let's start changing the, hold down shift and just make sure all these are selected. Let's go ahead, ooh, now I can see that a little better where I want that to be. Colors, brightness and contrast, okay. So now I can increase the contrast on this, but the sunset isn't getting all blown out. So that's cool. So go ahead and get that grass where you want it. Okay. Kind of liking that effect. So I'm going to click OK there. And remember, you constantly have to be saving. And now I'm going to invert my selection. Select invert, and now it's got the sky. Let's do the same thing. Let's adjust the brightness and contrast. So that's more contrast. I think I want my sky darker. So just playing with adjusting both of those settings, and I'm starting to get a little more of that pretty sunset effect that I like, the colors that I like. So I'm going to go ahead and say OK there. Just go ahead and save, and then select none, get rid of that selection. And then you notice that I have all these funky areas that didn't quite colorize right. So I'm going to show you how to use the blend tool. I like the blend tool. I'm just going to click on that, and I like the soft edges, and the size of the brush really depends on what you're trying to accomplish. I just want to blend some simple areas in here, create kind of a softer effect. I'm going to get rid of that. And my opacity, I think I'll just keep at 100% right now. That means that there's no transparency. So I'm just going to blend and smooth some things out. And just kind of get that effect of having kind of like maybe a hazy, you know, maybe there's a little bit of fog in the morning, you know, slipping off of this scene. You see how it just all of a sudden got real dreamy? I like that. Let's see how this heal tool works real quick, because I've got one of those little sunspots. And click on the heal tool, and I'm just going to click right there. Actually, I'll click over here. We'll do hold down Control, There. Take a sample spot and then click here, and it's supposed to heal it. Hold down Control, take a sample spot of where you want it to come from, and then click on the area you're trying to heal. So yeah, that didn't really heal that great. I can also heal up here, take a sample spot of an area that's relatively the same color, and then click on the spot I'm healing. So there was a little bit of healing taking place. And I'm going to go back to my smudge tool. My toolbox is not attached to my entire canvas palette area, my workstation. And I think I'll just increase the size of my brush a little bit, and maybe I'll decrease my opacity just a touch. I'm smudging. I just want to make it look a little dreamy. So might not want to overdo it, but it sure does look pretty when you kind of soften, smooth things out a little bit sometimes. So giving that a little go. Just play around with things, and if you don't like a step that you did, you just hit Control-Z. So that kind of gives it a dreamy landscape effect. I can decrease the opacity of it. If I didn't like that, I can go Control-Z and just undo and get out of all of that. And then I'll decrease the opacity a little bit more and go at it again with a lower opacity and see if I like that better. Oh yeah, I like that a little bit better. It's maintaining some of those details that I like, but it is softening things up quite a bit. Loving that. That looks good. Nice. See how dreamy that feels? Oh, hit Control-Z. I just grabbed a guide. Just grab it and slide it back. If you ever grab the edge of the page, it creates a guide for you. And my move tool just selected itself. Remember, I told you sometimes that happens. Hit Control-Z. And just make sure that you're on the correct tool. I'm on smudge right now. So you can just keep, you know, making sure you're on smudge and getting things dreamy the way you like them. Like that sunset, just really nice and mystical. It doesn't have to be blurry, but you know, I'm kind of liking the effect. So I'm just going with it. All right, so I'm loving the way that the foreground looks right now. It looks like the sun is hitting it and just like a Kincaid painting. It's gorgeous. And now I want to make my sky a little bit different. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my lasso tool. And I am just going to select some areas in the sky. You know what? I think I'll use my fuzzy select tool. And I'm just going to click on the sky, and it selected blue stuff. Okay, hold down Shift and just click again and get a nice selection of the blue sky. So there we go. Colors. This time I'm going to do color balance. Okay, so I'm just going to be fooling around with the color balance now. And I can do midtones, I can do my shadows. So I'm going to try my shadows for right now, and I'm just going to pull those. Look at how pretty and vibrant blue that color is. Ooh, that's gorgeous. And you can play around and see what happens when you do the other colors too. So go for the effect that you're looking for. Ooh, I really like that vibrant blue. Oh, I love it. So yeah, what is it that you're going for? You've got that nice preview so you can see what you're doing. All right, so I'll take that one back to 0. And you can try your midtones. And let's see what happens when we adjust midtone. Oh, look at what just happened. I got some reds in there. Oh, that's pretty.
Can I see? Can I see?
Yeah, you can see too. But of course, you don't want it to, you know, not match what you have going on in your foreground. So don't get too crazy on your color. The red might be just a little bit over the top. Okay. Yeah, I think I'll just leave my midtones where they were. And then you can also adjust highlights. Anyway, you get the idea. So I'm going to click OK. And then I'm going to select none and take a look at how that looks. So that might look a little funny. So you might have to grab your smudge tool again and just play around with blending the colors a little. But oops, I accidentally grabbed a guide again. You can just slide it back. And now it's got the move tool. So hit Control Z and get back to your blur tool. So yeah, you're witnessing real life struggles of a teacher trying to make a video that's using a ton of RAM on a computer that doesn't have any RAM. So I'm increasing the opacity. I noticed that as I'm dragging, not much is happening with my blurring. So I'm going to increase the opacity, and I'm trying to get some of those blues to come down into my sunset. And so just fabricating and making up some rays there. Okay, so pretty cool. You can also get in there and select some of this area as well. Maybe you're not totally crazy about the way the rays are looking. Remember, you can always hit Control Z. Maybe you want that to be a little more like random in the sky. So it's whatever you want. Hit Control Z if you don't like it. So nobody can tell you how to do your sky but you. Nobody. But you have fun doing it. Okay? So make it as dreamy and sweet and fun as you want. I love it.
Oh, this is so good.
Oh, look at that. Making it so like there's some clouds coming up. Just doing little twirls. Love that. It's looking a little hazy. Might try to get some more red in here. So I'm going to use that wand tool again. Fuzzy select tool. And I'm going to click on my reds. Oh, look at it. It just did it perfectly. I might hit my shift key and make sure it's getting the whole area. Yeah, it is. Don't want that much though. Hit Control Z. Colors, color balance, and let's just add some red. See what happens. So apparently it doesn't have the area selected that I want it to. So I'm going to cancel this and I'm going to select invert. Now let's try it. See if it's getting that area in there.
Students, this is so good.
Hi, Eva. Oh boy, now it's getting areas I don't want it to get. But that's kind of creating a cool effect though. I like that. So I might have to just go with that. Sometimes that's what happens. You just start experimenting. And you like what you see.
Students, if you ever saw Rachel. And just
Select none. And that's a pretty cool effect. It didn't quite get what I was trying to get, so I'm going to go for it again. This time I think I'll just select what I want. Okay, so I'm just going to manually select the areas that I'm wanting to brighten up. Shift to select some more. So I'm just getting this. Going to get that. I want to get this area. Oops, that took a little too much. I'm going to escape, and that'll get rid of that. Remember, you just hit escape if you start and it's just getting weird on you. Make sure you close it up. There you go. Okay, so I've got some areas here that I'm going to try to get a little more red. I'll get some of this too. I'll get some of this over here. So let's see what happens. Let's go to colors, color balance, and let's get some red in there and see what this looks like. Ooh, I like it. Okay, and try magenta. Definitely not really caring for the magenta. Oh, I like to add a little bit of that. That green was nice. No yellow. No thank you. All right, I'm gonna do my blues at 0. Okay, so click OK and select none. And now you can see I added some of those colors in there that I like, and I'm gonna have to use my smudge tool to do a little bit of blending. My opacity is really low, so I'm going to increase my opacity so that I'm getting more bang for my buck out of my blend. Nice. Ooh. The direction that you pull your blend tool in can make a huge difference. It can make or break whether or not it looks realistic. So make sure you're going in the right directions. Really like having that gorgeous orange color right on the horizon. That's so nice. Pretty dreamy, pretty lovely. So I think I'm probably just gonna stick with that. My opacity is a little too high. I'm not getting a good blend up here anymore. So decrease my opacity. Get these things to blend better. Some more blue, pull the blue down out of the sky. It's like paint. You're just like clicking and dragging the paint around. Pretty fun effect. Getting some of that blue. Yes, I like that. The other thing you can do is you can actually just paint if you want to. You could grab your airbrush and you can do this and get your color picker. Ding. Like that blue over there. Okay. And maybe I've got my opacities pretty low, but I could just might airbrush a little bit more blue into some places. So pretty. Maybe I'm a little more blue over here. So, whoops. Now I grab that guide and it's on the move tool. Go back to my airbrush. Okay, so I think you're kind of like getting the idea here of how you can actually go in and visually manipulate your sunset. So save it. And remember I had my original underneath. Let's take a look now. I'm gonna hide this layer, my work layer. There's the original. Whoa. Whoa. Huge difference. Okay. The last thing you could do if you wanted to, I think that this composition actually looks pretty good even though it's not following the rule of thirds. It's not right in the center either, so that's good. But if you wanted to crop it according to the rule of thirds, you certainly could. Probably want to bring like that bottom portion onto the thirds line, right? So if you wanted to crop this to the rule of thirds, that'd be about right there. But honestly, the details in this image are just so exquisite. I actually really like the composition exactly the way it is, or you could bring that down. But you know, when I first started out, I thought for sure I was going to want to crop this image. But now that I have all these beautiful details, every single square inch of this image adds depth, beauty, quality, richness to this whole composition. Love it.